Burkina Faso, a name that may not resonate with many, yet it's a country that has been thrust into the global spotlight due to a series of tumultuous events. Let's talk about the latest developments that have unfolded since Capt. Ibrahim Traore seized power in September 2022. It's a story that captures the essence of struggle, hope, and the quest for stability in a region plagued by violence and uncertainty. When Traore took the reins, he was met with a country in distress. Burkina Faso was already grappling with an insurgency that had spiraled out of control, fueled by jihadist groups linked to al-Qaeda and ISIS. The previous administration, led by President Roch Kabore, had been criticized for its inability to contain this growing threat. So, when Lieutenant-Colonel Paul-Henri Damiba staged a coup in January 2022, promising to restore order, many were hopeful. But as time passed, it became painfully clear that the situation was only deteriorating. So, in a bold move, Traore stepped in, ousting Damiba in September, declaring that the time had come for a new approach, a second chance to tackle the chaos. Now, here we are, nearly 2 years later, and the military government has announced it will extend its rule for another 5 years. Yes, you heard that right. Capt. Traore, who once promised to restore civilian governance by July of this year, has shifted the narrative. The new charter he signed states that the transition period will now last until July 2028, with the possibility of elections being held earlier if the security situation allows. It's a classic case of, we'll get to that later, but the question is, when will later actually come? The rationale behind this extension is, unsurprisingly, the ongoing security crisis. Capt. Traore has made it clear that elections are not a priority until the territory is secured and the threat from jihadist forces is mitigated. It's a sentiment that resonates with many citizens who have witnessed firsthand the devastation wrought by violence. But let's pause for a moment. How long can a nation live under military rule, even with the promise of security? Is it fair to ask a populace to sacrifice their democratic rights for safety, especially when the very solution appears to be elusive? The new charter also introduces a significant change in how representatives are selected. Patriotism will now be the sole criterion for choosing deputies, casting aside the quotas that previously ensured representation for traditional political parties. This raises eyebrows. What does patriotism mean in this context? Who gets to define it? It feels like a slippery slope toward a more controlled political environment, where dissent and diverse voices could be stifled in the name of national unity. And let's not forget the alarming reports from international and human rights organizations. Burkina Faso's military has been accused of serious human rights violations in its fight against insurgents. These allegations include indiscriminate killings and forced disappearances of civilians, acts that cast a long shadow over the military's claims of restoring order. The irony is striking. In the quest to eliminate a violent threat, the government may be perpetuating a cycle of violence against its own people. How does one reconcile the need for security with the fundamental rights of individuals? The swift decisions made during the recent national consultation meeting in Ouagadougou, where political parties were notably absent, further illustrate the disconnect between the military leadership and the citizens they claim to serve. It raises the question of legitimacy. Can a government that sidesteps inclusive dialogue truly represent the will of the people? The silence of political parties is deafening, and it signals a troubling trend toward autocracy. So, where does that leave the people of Burkina Faso? They are caught in a web of promises and realities, navigating a landscape where hope is often overshadowed by despair. The citizens yearn for peace, for stability, for a return to normalcy. They want to be able to send their children to school without fear, to walk the streets without looking over their shoulders. Yet, with every extension of military rule, those dreams seem to drift further away. As we reflect on this situation, it's essential to remember that the story of Burkina Faso is not just about politics or military strategy. It's about real lives. It's about families torn apart by violence, communities displaced, and a nation struggling to find its footing amidst chaos. The road ahead is fraught with challenges, and the choices made today will resonate for generations to come. In conclusion, the extension of junta rule in Burkina Faso is a complex issue that requires careful consideration. While the military government promises security, the cost of that security cannot be the erosion of democratic principles and human rights. The people of Burkina Faso deserve better. They deserve a voice in their future, a chance to rebuild their nation on the foundations of justice, equality, and peace. As we watch this narrative unfold, let's keep the people of Burkina Faso in our thoughts, for their struggle is a reminder of the fragility of democracy and the enduring power of hope.